Well, while we're waiting for the YouTube live stream, I want to ask all of our panelists to unmute their mics so we can do one more audio check. And if you see your avatars kind of grouped up, Heather, if you could move to your right, that would be great. Just so we can spread out a little because we might get some feedback. Hi, Angela. How are you? I see that you're on the stage. Well, thank you all for joining us for ICONversations today. We have 5 of our amazing icons here on the stage ready to rocket to a new hemisphere. I want to let you all know that this is going to be an hour-long conversation. From Massachusetts, we have Sonia Johnson. From Texas, we have Stuart Sutton. From Arizona, we have Heather Rodriguez. From Florida, we have Michelle Rinaldi. And our moderator today is the amazing Kelly Jackson from Virginia. Kelly, you want to take it away?
Yes, thank you, Brian. I would like to get started with our icons, and let's go ahead and start with Michelle. Michelle, if you can give a brief introduction, including your location, years in real estate, areas served, any niche that you may serve. Let me know. And also, if you have a team, what's the structure of it? And I'm going to ask each icon to provide that.
Sure. My name's Michelle Rinaldi. I am in South Florida. I am a certified condo specialist. So the majority of my business is selling oceanfront condos to maybe second home buyers or people who are retiring or relocating to this area. I love it. It was a niche that I kind of fell into, and I'm so glad that I did. I've been with EXP. I want to say I'm in my 6th year. I've been an Icon agent for 5 years, and I was Icon Agent of the Year in 2020. I'm in a domestic partnership with my husband, Paul, which translates to I'm actually a solo agent. No offense to my darling husband, but take that as you will. So that's kind of the long and short of me.
Okay, sounds good. How about you, Heather?
Good morning, everyone. I have been in real estate for 6 years and have been with EXP for 2 of those years. I cover the Phoenix metro area, and we really have a pretty diverse book of business, but we do work with a lot of investors, people who are out of state and own properties here. So that's been a big part of our business. We also work with a lot of luxury and horse properties. I do have a small team, which I formed when I came to EXP, and it's been going great. So that's me.
All right, and Stuart.
Good morning. I'm in Texas. I'm actually just outside of Austin in one of the suburbs out here. And like Michelle, I do have a focus, 1 acre plus properties. I specialize in small acreage here. I do have an assistant and a showing agent. So I've done the cycle, individual agent, built a big team and cycle back down to where this is really the perfect fit for me. I've had an assistant and a showing agent for about, I guess 12, 15 years, something like that.
Okay. Okay. And Sonia.
Good morning. My name is Sonia Johnson. I service the North Shore of Boston in a town and area around Ipswich, Massachusetts, which is famous for the clam. I'm also licensed in Southwest Florida. I've been in the business for 24 years, with EXP for 5 years, and Icon agent for all of them.
Okay, great.
Oh, and I'm a solo agent. Sorry.
Oh, you're a solo agent. Okay. Yeah. All right. I am Kelly Jackson. I've been with EXP for 2 years out of my 23-year real estate career. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Texas. I have a small team in the Houston area. I service the military and government relocations a lot. And in Texas, we focus a lot on first-time home sellers. Excited to be here and anxious to learn more from our esteemed panelists here. Now, the first question that I have, and let's start with you, Stuart. Given there have been some disruptions and shifts in the market this year and certainly in the last year with interest rates and so forth. What are you doing or have you been doing differently to enhance your results?
That's a question a lot of people are trying to trying to get an answer to right now. So it's very timely. I've been in just about every market you can imagine. I was in terrible, terrible busts. I've been in incredible frenzied boom markets. I've been in all of them. So the one thing that I've always paid close attention to is what is the market turnover. So what I mean by that is real simple. If you've got 100 listings on the market and that month 10 of them sell, you've got a 10% turnover that month, right? So there's more than one definition of turnover ratio, but this is the one I'm using. So if you, as an agent, know that budget-wise you need to make 4 sales each month in order to get your bills paid, put a little money in savings, go on a vacation, et cetera, and you know the turnover ratio is 10%, and you've got to have 40 listings. If the turnover ratio is 90%, guess what? You only have to have about 5 or 6 listings, right? So based on what's going on in the market, all we've always done is literally adjust our listing inventory to what's going on the market. So I've had situations literally in the last 10, 12, 15 years where I, with my assistant and my showing agent, carried a listing inventory of 50 to 60 clients and met our monthly goal. I've also had situations just literally a year ago where we didn't have a listing inventory because every time we listed a home, it was under contract within days. So we just went from listing to listing to listing to listing and put them under contract as fast as we listed them. So we've been in every kind of market, but what we focus on is what do we need to do to manage that listing inventory so that we can maintain the turnover of sales that we need, if that makes sense. So the way we do that is basically through our marketing process. If you're marketing and you're doing it consistently and effectively, you can turn the faucet up, you can turn the faucet down. So very simply, you can manage your listing inventory and your income based on what's going on in the market if you pay attention. So I hope that makes sense for everybody.
Yeah, we'll circle back around. I have some questions in there. How about you, Michelle?
Just repeat the question.
Yes. So, given there have been some disruptions and shifts in the market, what are you doing or have you been doing differently to enhance your results?
Okay, so for me, I mean, I always dealt with a lot of cash buyers. So if we're talking about the mortgage rates being high, my buyers, when they were really low, would get a mortgage, not because they had to, because they wanted to. So now that the interest rates are up, my people are just back to paying cash again. So it's kind of like everyone I work with has money to pay. So that kind of hasn't been such a big factor for me. I will say that inventory's been really low. And then the buyers, because they are paying higher property prices for the property, they want what they want. So finding them exactly what they want to get them to reach into their piggy banks and shell out the money is kind of more challenging. And then getting the listings. So I actually just partnered with a company to make my listing stand out more on MLS and on Zillow, because they'll pull. So I'm hoping that helps me get more listings when I go on listing appointments, knowing that they'll get more traction and visibility. I mean, those are the problems that I'm personally facing, not exactly everything that's going on with the market pertains to my business.
Okay. Okay. And Heather, same question.
I think that it's been interesting. I think the most important thing to do, or that we've been doing, is really ramping up on the things that we've already been working on. I think that's something that we see a lot of when the market shifts. People try to jump on a new quick and easy fix. And every time you change your process or your activities, it takes 3 to 6 months for you to generate results. So what we've done is we've really doubled down on all revenue generating activities, everything that's customer focused, ramped up open houses, ramped up our calls. We do make a lot of calls to our sphere, past clients, people within our database, really just ramping up face-to-face opportunities so that we can talk with people and learn about what they're needing, wanting, or who in their circles need or want help with real estate. We've also leveraged our vendor and professional services network. All of those people have contacts, have families, have friends, and have customers. So deepening our relationships with them has allowed us to be their number one go-to when it comes to real estate. So those are just
Okay.
some of the things. And then we've also done, like, again, focused on listings. We've done a lot more circle prospecting around our listings, calling around the listings, increasing our social media presence, doing a better job of marketing our listings so that we're generating leads from those. And we're definitely seeing results from that.
Okay, great. And Sonia, same question. Uh, what are you doing or doing differently?
So I'll be the oddball. I have not changed anything that I'm doing. I do realize that other people aren't as busy as I am. So I am conscientious about the people that reach out to me. And I might be, trying to stay in touch with them more if they're in my pipeline, knowing that I'm probably competing potentially with other agents. But I'm in a small town of 14,000. I've been at it for the 24 years. I've always been wanting to help people, and people know that. So they call me for any real estate questions that they have. And I just have a really good following, and I feel very, very lucky about that. So I have not been impacted by the shift in the market.
Okay, great. And I think in terms of for our business, what we've done is really kind of echoing what someone said earlier, but really doubling down on relationships with our sphere of influence and our past clients. That's had the biggest impact, and finding ways to really engage them on a regular basis. So not touching people 4 times a year, touching them every month, whether it's through social media, invitations to coffees, uh, sending out holiday cards, which I hand wrote my cards this year. So that special touch. And already so far, my past clients and sphere of influence have really been carrying the market. So there isn't that competition with other realtors because so many of them are reaching out to sell their homes. So I want to kind of go back to what Stuart talked about when he said he could turn up his marketing up or down. And so, Stuart, can you kind of expound on that? Like, what do you do to if your numbers are down? How are you going to change that and get more clients in the pipeline?
So basically, we just adjust the amount of marketing we're doing based on the number of listings that we want. So we have a pretty good handle on if we send out this much marketing in order to get the appropriate number of responses. If we double that, we're going to get double the responses. Well, that may sound like easy math, but when the market gets tougher, we may need to double it and we may get fewer responses. In the market that we're in now, for example, we have a little bit less demand on buyers and a little bit less demand from sellers as well. So basically what we've done with our marketing is just gradually edge it up until we're hitting the same amount. So it's kind of a test basis to a degree. And what I mean by that is, I'm just going to make up a number. Okay, let's say you send out 1,000 postcards and you spend $500 on online ads. Well, as the market shifts and if business slows down, we just gradually increase the targeted database of postcards from 1,000 to 1,500, and we move the online budget up. And when we start to hit where we're equivalent and have the responses coming in that we need to put the listings on the market, then we know that we've hit that point of equilibrium, if that makes sense. I hope I'm not muddling it up for you.
Gotcha. And so we're going to go back to Sonia. And Sonia, if you could hit the megaphone button, I understand some people are having a hard time hearing you. I wanted to go back to, let's say you're an agent who is out there in the audience and you're just starting out, or you're not just starting out, but you're starting from scratch. You have zero in the pipeline right now. What are you going to do starting today to get some business now?
And I assume that question is directed at me first.
Yes.
So if I were even starting today or had somebody else that was starting today, I would highly recommend going to open houses to get a feel and sense for the market that you're going to be working in. So you can go see the property, see how it plays out for pricing, how it goes under agreement, what it sells for, meet other agents, formulate relationships that way, maybe help agents, accompany them with open houses. I always try to get somebody to help me because I don't really have a desire for buyers, and they can work the crowd. The other suggestion is to be active. I belong to a gym. I meet people there. I stop in a coffee shop. I see people I know there. Every time I go out at night for dinner or lunch, I run into people I know, and they always come to me and ask questions. So it got to the point where I would have to leave town just to have an enjoyable lunch or dinner out. So I think being out and about is so important. And it did take me probably 3 years before people realized that I was experienced. And after that point, it just, went crazy. So I have enough business to keep me busy, and I don't try to promote any additional business. And I know that seems crazy, but it's just the way it is here for me.
Okay. And how about you, Michelle? What would you say to that agent to get some business now?
So what I would do is I would want to hone in on the farm area I wanted to do business in. That's my first thought process as a new agent. For me, I wanted to do the condo market, and I knew what my farm area was. I would pull up all the listings in that area, and I would schedule appointments to preview those units with whomever that listing agent is. So maybe pick and whether you want to do condos or communities, equestrian, luxury, waterfront, maybe one day pick 3 properties, preview them, take some video, shoot some pictures, take whatever materials that agent has, feature sheets, MLS listings, and then I would go and I would post them on social media. I would also go into Facebook, create a Facebook page. For example, if you went into ABC community, make a Facebook page of that community, post the listing you saw, and say, if anybody's interested, give me a call. And then, you are showing, hey, I'm here. I'm out in these places. Call me. Like these, I'm showing you things that you couldn't already see because I'm an agent and you need me to get in there. And I would kind of start building off of that, and then just being the most knowledgeable person in my farm area. Because the reality is we can't know everything there is to know about a lot of different things. Like I am great at a party bantering because I know just enough about a lot of topics to talk a little bit of time on. And that's all you need to do. You just need to know what you're selling, feel passionate, and get out there. And that's how I would start. And it doesn't cost you any money.
Okay. And then how about you, Heather?
I would suggest 3 things of focus because I think too, if people come in when they're new, they try to do a million things. And one, it's difficult to be remembered by doing a bunch of different things. You should really focus on 3, no more than 5 things. So 3 to 5 things. I would suggest first doing some sort of an announcement to your sphere, to everyone you know, any past coworkers. If you've lived out of state, in-state, reach out to everybody, because a lot of your out-of-state friends and family might have people moving here. So draft up a really nice letter. Just let them know you're now in real estate and you want to be their resource for them or any of their friends and family. The second thing I would suggest is to really, really double down on open houses. I would suggest, if you're new, do 3 to 5 open houses a week. A lot of times you're going to pick up so many opportunities, whether it's listing opportunities or buyers, when you're consistent with your open houses. My first year in the business, I did half of my business all from open house leads. And then the last thing I would suggest is to circle prospect around the open houses that you're holding. You have to keep in mind that oftentimes people don't really understand whose listing that is. So it's an EXP listing, you're holding it open. You can get a list of the homeowners that are around that open and just call them and just let them know, hey, I've been working this property in the neighborhood. We've had a lot of interest. The floor plan's not ideal for some of the buyers, but that's why I'm reaching out to you to see if possibly you'd be thinking of selling. Your property might be one that's going to be more desirable for whatever reason. Maybe it's a single level versus a 2-story, however you want to spin that. But you can circle prospect in that neighborhood by making calls, or you can even do flyers. If you're not a phone call person, you can drop flyers at the homes around the area as just an opportunity or a way to connect with some of those people. Those are my 3.
Okay. And how about you, Stuart?
Well, it depends on your budget, but if you are new in getting started, and I think the question was, if I were to get started, it might be a little bit different than if I were brand new. But I agree with everything everyone has said here, but it's a matter of taking the action. First of all, sphere of influence, that's going to be hopefully going to be your main source of income. So a lot of people are kind of concerned about that, but you can do something very unthreatening. When you position yourself as an expert and put out information that reflects that, then people do respond to it. They start to understand that you do know what you're talking about, and you do have good advice or a good source of guidance. And that could be something as simple as a post a week. I basically send all my past clients and customers and even prospects an email every single week, which just gives a short little update on the market, and then a motivational story, inspirational story, humor story, whatever the case is. The story changes weekly, and of course the update changes weekly. But it's very unthreatening. I'm not saying, hey, call me, come list your house with me, let me sell your kids a house. It's basically saying, hey, here's some great information, and they start to recognize in a short amount of time that you are an expert in the real estate area. The second thing I would do is, and I just believe in this so strongly, Michelle is a condo expert. I'm in my market perceived as a small acreage expert. So I get typically the appointments I go on, I'm the only one that they call. They don't call anybody else, because their thought process is, well, we're going to talk to this expert. And if for any reason we don't like him, then we'll talk to other people. So find an area of real estate that you are really passionate about, that you really like, that you really enjoy, and learn more about it than anybody else. There's no doubt that Michelle could talk circles around any of us regarding condos and waterfront condos and attributes and negatives and things to look out for. And I'm the same in my niche. So if you become an expert in a particular area of real estate, you will be heads and shoulders above your competition. It won't be a level playing field. You will literally be heads and shoulders above everybody else in your market. I've had agents who are fairly new who follow this process, and they'll walk into a listing appointment and take away a listing from a top producer in the market. The guy with billboards and TV commercials and radio commercials. But that person's a generalist. When you're an expert in a particular type of real estate and people recognize that, they will contact you and they will do business with you over even the big producers in your office and in your company and in your market. So those are my pieces of advice for whatever they're worth.
Okay, yeah, there was definitely some great information. Just adding to that, you don't necessarily have to just specialize in a certain type of property. you can specialize in a certain demographic. So military, medical workers, even down to pet lovers, these people that have things that are in common with you are really going to go a long way when you're not just when you're starting out, but throughout your career. Someone asked the question about open houses. You can, if you don't have your own listings, there's tons of groups uh, in workplace, for example, where you can borrow a listing to do an open house at. A lot of icon agents, especially solo agents, don't have time to do their own open houses, so you can borrow that. You can also focus on a deal of the week. So going out and finding that hot property that you know is going to go fast in the market and going out to it, making a video, telling your audience on social media about that deal of the week. You can also do things like borrow a HUD property, which all agents can advertise a HUD property, for example. And I would say one of the biggest, when I switched markets um, a couple years ago, one of the biggest things, I've been with EXP for 2 years, and 2 years I iconed, and both of those years, I relied heavily on other agents in workplace who every day there's referrals in there. And you really need to have a plan or strategy of reaching out to those agents and not just taking that referral, but also keeping them in the loop about what's going on. So if you do a great job, that same agent is going to start to endorse you. And so you'll be able to get opportunities in workplace. It is an excellent platform for that. And then I agree with everything everyone else said. Circle prospecting, same thing. You can borrow someone else's sold listing, call around it and say, are you aware that your neighbor just sold 123 Main Street? And so there's different ways, but you really have to, and those are probably the most inexpensive ways if you don't have a budget right now to really get in there and start taking action. But the biggest thing is to take action. All right, so let's start with Michelle on this next question. Michelle, what does your daily schedule look like? And then what's the most important part of your day?
So I don't really have a daily schedule. Like I'm not one of those realtors that time block. I don't say, oh, I don't wake up at 5 a.m. I don't go to the gym and have that, ooh, winners get up at 4 a.m. No, I'm a winner because I have the luxury of sleeping in. That's how I feel. No, I paid my dues. Now I can sleep in. I make my own hours. So the one thing I learned about real estate is consistently inconsistent. So I can plan my day till I'm blue in the face, but it's the same as trying to get like my newborn daughter on a feeding schedule. Like buyers are like newborns. They don't care. They don't care if you have other plans or if you have a life. So a lot of times you have to get used to, hey, today I was going to make calls for an hour. Well, a new listing came out and this buyer wants to see it now. So your day just kind of gets thrown up in the air. I can't tell you how many contracts I've written with children on my lap and on my back. Like I just get my things done. I mean, if you saw my workspace, I've got papers and flyers and disorganization, but it's my madness. So I think it's really important that agents out there come up with a system that works for you and don't mimic somebody else's system. See, calls are already coming in about this great advice I'm giving you. So I think that's what's really important, that you make your schedule something that works for you. I don't like to show properties before 10 a.m. And if I'm still out at 3 p.m., I'm annoyed. I'm like, oh, the nerve. Why are I don't do it on the weekends. I don't like to be with people at night. I do my, I don't need to be around people work at night, emails and, following up or negotiations and stuff like that. So you really need to just make a schedule that works for you and not, I'm just not your typical agent. So I hope that helps everyone. It's like being a mom, you got to be the mom that works for you. It's the same with real estate. Be the agent that works for you and don't let people invade your space. Set your boundaries because they will do it.
That's excellent advice, and that's the beauty of being in this industry. We all get to choose which direction we're going to take. Now, I am that I won't say I'm a time blocker, but I believe in winning the mornings. I am the person that's up early, but I do not write contracts at night, for example, because by then there there's something, and not even I don't even want to negotiate contracts. So at a certain time my phone goes off at night, so I do believe in protecting my boundaries, but I also am a big fan of winning the morning. And so especially if you're a prospector or if you're a person that really is heavy on the phones, it's important to knock that out in the morning. My appointments are in the afternoons, so every day isn't identical, but that morning routine is super important, because if that goes awry, I can still recover. But if I can't just like free form it throughout the day. So there's different strokes out there, and everyone does need to find out what's going to be effective. But the biggest thing that she said was you have to get it done. That's the big thing. What about you, Stuart? Are you following a daily schedule, or what does that look like?
Well, I've just kind of fallen into it over the years. I'm pretty habit driven, so I typically do the same things in the morning and in the afternoon. And I mean, it is obvious if a seller calls and says, "Hey, we got referred and we really want to talk to you," I'll certainly change my date. I'm not going to say, "Well, I'm sorry, but I have to exercise at 2 o'clock." No, of course, I'm going to set that aside and run over and visit with them. The most important thing, someone told this to me very early on in my career, the most important thing you can be doing is spending time with a seller or a buyer. Those are your income generators. The next most important thing you can be doing is generating sellers or buyers. So the most important thing is being with that listing. Now, I hadn't actually shown buyers since probably the late 90s, but my listing appointments, I always set them at 11:15 or 1:15. And I haven't diverted from that for many, many years. Those are pretty well set, and I know that that's what it's going to be. So in the late afternoon, if I have a listing appointment at 1:15, for example, after I get back from that, in the late afternoon is when I do my lead generation, and that's basically creating and placing marketing and following up with or adjusting marketing if it needs to be done. So just pretty much busy work in the morning, and then listing appointments in the middle of the day, and then marketing in the afternoon.
Okay. And shifting gears a little bit, Heather, when you started your real estate career, were you full-time or part-time?
When I started real estate, I started as a full-time agent. I had a corporate job and I didn't want to come in halfway. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I made the decision to get into real estate, I decided that I was going to come in 100%, 110%. I quit my job and I gave myself a goal and I said, I have to make X amount of dollars within my first year, because if I don't, I'm going to go back to the corporate world. I had been in sales my entire life and had a pretty good career. So I did come in full force. I saved up money before. I saved money not only for, life, but I saved a real estate budget, and I had a budget of $10,000 that I could just use for real estate marketing. I hired a designer to create all of my marketing to be consistent and to be concise. I did the postcards, my signs, my business cards, my newsletter templates. Everything really had a branding look. I have a marketing background, so that was important to me. And I do believe that that approach was what helped me be successful that first year. The brokerage I was at, I was actually rookie of the year for the whole company in my first year. So I'm a big fan of coming in as a full-time agent, but I know that's not ideal for everyone.
Okay. How about you, Sonia?
Hi there. So in terms of new agents and advice. I'm sorry, I lost focus a little bit because you jumped over to Heather with a different question, but are we still on the question of how the day starts and advice on securing time and daily
No,
duties?
no, this was when you started real estate. Did you come in full time or part time?
Oh, I came in full time, but really part time because I was still raising young children. And
Okay.
it is difficult to be part-time. And just to go back to the other part, I think it's really important to pencil in time. So in the beginning, I was taking appointments whenever people wanted them, which could be in the middle of a summer day on a Saturday. And,
Hmm.
I would infuriate my family members. So I personally think that you need to pencil in your family time and workout times and everything else as if it's an appointment. Your clients don't need to know that it isn't. That's my strong advice as well.
Okay, so that's a very important one. What about you, Michelle?
I went in full time, just out of necessity. My husband and I and my daughter at the time, we moved down to South Florida with the intention. I was a stay-at-home mom of getting my real estate license. Paul was Canadian, so he couldn't work in the US. So I just figured, oh, I'll get my real estate license. That'll be easy and that'll be my new job. So I definitely was not, I did not go in eyes wide open when I chose the career. I thought it was like, oh, you get your license, you sell houses, you blah, blah, blah. But I had no choice. I had to go full time because it was where we were making our money to live, and I don't know if you have kids, but they always want dinner. It's the most annoying thing in the world. So we had to make money. So yeah, I did it full time, and I just clawed and was relentless. It was like, do or die. I didn't have a plan B. There was no backup plan. So that's what I did. And I did anything I had to do. I did a lot of rentals, just to go through the motion and have some money come in. And I can appreciate that people don't jump into real estate full time, but I think what the problem with that is that they like their paycheck and they like the security of their paycheck, and they're not willing to give that up. So they focus on that job, and then they never actually give real estate and working for yourself and really believing in yourself a full chance. And whether that's you can't or you don't have like the support system. But I think a lot of agents, when they don't succeed, it's because they never actually gave it their all, because they would rather have the security of that paycheck. And Sam, I didn't even have a dang boat to set on fire when I got to South Florida. That's how bad we were. There was no boat. There was no. So yeah, just you have to believe in yourself. It's not for everyone. It really isn't. So it's just. But I started full time.
I love that. And I always tell people, even those who start part-time, is to have a strategy of, hey, when I get to this level, I'm going to go at it full time, because it really is a great career when you have that attitude, like this has to work versus I want it to work. It's a different experience. So I definitely agree with you there. Stuart, what do you wish you had done at the start of your career that you do now that would have accelerated your success?
Well, for me, that's a pretty easy one. I will try not to bore everybody to death by giving them a real quick history. So when I went in the real estate business, I knocked doors. I called. Nobody's house expired that didn't get a call from me. No for sale by owner went in the market that didn't get a visit from me. Worked a lot of hours and was willing to do it. As has been said here many times. It takes a commitment. So anyway, my commitment was full and complete and total, and I worked a lot of hours, and it all worked out very well. But I got to a point where I was cold calling 2 to 4 hours a day, and I was going on 30, 40, 50 appointments a month. And we really just hit a point when my wife and I had our first kid where I said, wait a minute, this just isn't going to work. So I did some research. I found somebody. I hired a coach, and the first coach I hired pretty much just encouraged me and held me accountable for cold calling. I said, that's not what I need to do. And I found somebody else, and they taught me a little thing called marketing. And within a very short amount of time, I was no longer cold calling, door knocking, or any of that. I was simply putting out very good, effective marketing, and sellers were contacting me and saying, hey, would you come talk to us about selling our house? And it was a very different way to do business. And my hours just plummeted to where I literally worked Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for many years while my kids were growing up, because I would take a day off to give my wife a day off. And I wished I'd have known that from the beginning of my career. I wished I'd have truly known how to market effectively, how to put out a message that consumers would respond to, and solve a problem that they needed, and have them contact me and say, hey, we need what you do. We need your expertise. And that's what my business has been ever since, is people contacting me. And if I'd have known that from the beginning, it certainly would have made my life different.
Okay. And Heather, same question. What do you wish you had done at the start of your career that you do now that would have accelerated your success?
Oh, that's a great question. So I wish I would have learned to delegate and let others help with my business. The first year, I never used a transaction coordinator. I felt like I needed to be part of every piece of the process. So I was doing my own paperwork, doing my prospecting, negotiating on clients' behalf, taking clients out, marketing my listings. I did everything. And I finally realized that hiring a transaction coordinator was necessary. That second year, I hired a transaction coordinator. It was the best decision I ever made. She's amazing. She and I still work together today. And she took over all of that paperwork stuff, which allowed me to open up my business, be a better agent, spend more time with clients, negotiating, all of that. My business doubled within that 1 year by just making that one change. And I can say that as moving on as a team lead, I did the same thing. I never wanted to hire a marketing person or an admin to help with all the things associated with managing a team. And I did that until probably the last 3 months of last year. And once I hired that person, got them incorporated in our business, we're already starting to see business double. And it's really kind of a control thing. You think you need to be involved in all of the things within your business, but if you can find good people to support you, you can be a better agent, because you can spend more time in front of the client.
That is critical information for everyone out there. How about you, Michelle? Same question.
Tell me it again.
So what do you wish that you had done at the start of your career that you do now that would have really accelerated your success?
Nothing. I think that thought is just no. There's nothing you can do. Success is going to come over time. You don't wake up one day and say, "Oh, if I made more calls or if I did more open houses, I'd be more successful 12 years later." I think it took me years and years and years to get to the point where I am now. If I went back and sent a letter to my sphere of influence, "Hey guys, I got my real estate license. Let me sell the biggest asset you have." No, it would be the same thing as if my best friend got her plastic surgery license and she wanted to do my boobs. Like, I don't think so. Like, I want somebody with experience. So it takes time to get to where people are going to come to you. And I believe that that thought process will come from marketing. I dumped as much money into marketing myself as I possibly could. And I got the idea, ironically, from Suzanne Summers. I watched a documentary on her, and I knew her from Three's Company as the stupidest blonde on TV. And now here we are 30 years later, may she rest in peace, thinking she's a guru for health and bloody wellness. Well, she's not. She just has a great marketing team. And that's what I took away from that. She parlayed herself from a ditzy blonde to someone people are turning to help them recover from cancer. So I dumped, if you close a deal, you take that money and you put it back into yourself. Don't give it to the IRS. You spend money, and as much money as you have, on yourself, making people understand this is who I am, this is my brand, and this is what I can do for you. And I should have done more of that. And I think that's where agents, you need to spend money to make money. So, and market yourself, and in time, yes, people will start coming to you, but it's not overnight, and there's nothing I could have done to get where I am today faster, because it's, you know, it takes years to become successful.
Well, I think the marketing piece was that was the real nugget that we could glean out of that. And Sonia, how about you?
So I agree with Michelle. I think success does not happen overnight. And it took me, I'm glad I'm at the end here, because I didn't have an answer until now. But my answer would be, again, to pencil in personal time. I feel like I took away family time from my kids and my husband. And that is a big regret that I have, that I didn't realize and have the confidence that somebody might be able to go on a showing before noon on a sunny Saturday than to, you know, do it in the middle of the day. So that's one regret I have. The other is I do heavily, not heavily, but I do heavily believe in farming an area. I happen to live on the seaside, and we have a neighborhood that incorporates two different little islands that are connected together. And I initially started with half of the island I'm on, and I would mail them just once a year. I got the suggestion from an agent that I knew in Maine. And I would just send the sales with a tacky little magnetic calendar at the start of every year. And just, you know, at first I hand wrote every envelope for a long time, for many years. I wished I would have started it sooner. And I do get hits every year from that letter. I still do it 20 years later. And people look for the tacky calendar. It's amazing. And people come to me because they think I'm the expert out here on the necks. So it's been a great return for a small investment for that little bit of marketing.
So I'm going to kind of sum it all up. One was leverage, which I thought was a big piece. And I would say it would definitely be leverage. Earlier, we had talked about transaction coordinator, but also leveraging your CRM. Like if I could go back, that would be the biggest thing that I could recommend to someone, is really dig deep, put everyone into your CRM. Even if you don't think they're going to buy or sell a property, put them in your CRM anyway, and really leverage that. I live by my CRM today, which wasn't the case. I'm part of a domestic team as well, and I can remember us being at dinner and writing stuff on napkins. I can remember that, and we did a lot of business, but that CRM would have helped us do more business and really stay in touch with people and not have things everywhere, here and there. And so definitely embracing a CRM and hiring an assistant. We were juggling 75 listings at a time, the two of us, with no admin. And that was crazy. And people today probably say that's very crazy. But those would be the things that we changed: the admin, the transaction coordinator, even forming a team later on, or if you're a solo agent, just having showing assistants. That can really help clear your plate and allow you to do what you're good at, which is cultivating those relationships with your clients. And finally, we're getting low on time here. I would like to ask the panel, are there any podcasts, webinars, or books that you would recommend for that agent in the audience who's trying to figure it all out? And let's go ahead and start with you, Stuart.
Well, I was just rambling there, telling some great stuff while I was muted. Sorry about that. So, and I recommended this book last week. One of the books that I highly recommend is called One Word. And I'm a goal setter, and a lot of people are, especially in this business. But some people aren't just wired that way. It's everyone's not the same. This book basically goes through the process of choosing a word to really override and see you through that year based on business and financial and social and personal and spiritual. And it's really a very cool either addition to goal or put it in place instead of goals. So One Word is a good one. And from marketing, I really highly recommend an author named Al Ries, Ries. It's not directly real estate marketing, but it is marketing that really takes you down a path of understanding what it's all about and how you can put it to use. So those are the two books I would recommend. Is Al Ries's 21 Immutable Laws of Marketing and One Word.
Okay. How about you, Heather?
I like to listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think two of my favorites would be, well, three of my favorites, I guess. The Kyle Whistle podcast, it's The Whistle Way. He's actually an EXP huge team in California, and he's got so many great nuggets. I listen to that one all the time. Tom Ferry obviously has a great information and good actionable items. And then from really a mindset side, I've really started to enjoy the Ed Milet podcast. He does all kinds of different things, but those would be the three I would recommend. And then a book I'm reading right now is Think Big. And I think that's really an easy read. It's an older book, but the nuggets in there are pretty helpful.
Okay. And how about you, Sonia?
I don't have any books or podcasts, but I'll tell you, if I were new in the audience today, I would listen to these recordings that we do with the ICON panels, because it's just amazing the advice that people give, and it's free. So that's my recommendation.
Okay. And Michelle?
One of the books that I read, and I read this about maybe 10 years ago, it was called Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard. I actually mentioned it last week to a bunch of agents. I love this book just because it explains when you're working with clients, like to really give them the most enjoyable experience. And I know a lot of agents out there, they like to put on like a Superman cape and go in and beat up the listing agent and work super hard for their buyers and get them everything. And in the turn, it's like, it's a battle, and the whole transaction is like a war. And this book just shows you, people remember an amazing, enjoyable experience, and then they will rave about you. No one's going to walk away from a transaction and say, wow, Michelle got me $5,000 for a roof repair. Yeah, it was the most stressful, awful experience we ever went through. As opposed to, oh my God, Michelle is so fun to work with. Like, it was super awesome. Like, great woman, love her family. Call Michelle, she's great. That's what they're going to remember, an amazing experience. And I think that's what you need to give your clients, and kind of take a step back from thinking you're like a superhero agent.
All right. And I would like to just plug the book Ninja Selling. If you're looking to get your career jump started, you're just starting out, that is a great book that my team always reads. And it helps with every area from mindset throughout working with buyers and sellers. So that's a great book. And also the 12-week year as well for the more seasoned agents. Brian, do we have any questions from the audience before we end?
We don't, and we're just on time. So I want to thank all of you for attending this panel this week. It was really amazing. Kelly, thank you so much for moderating. If any of you out there on YouTube are watching this live, smash that like button. We are here every single Friday from 8:45 a.m. Pacific time for an hour. So join us next week. Thank you so much. You all have a great day.
Thank you.